Alright boys, how we all done?
Yeah, no bad, man.
That's
Good. Thanks for that, Kev. Welcome back to This Is My Story, your unofficial Hearts podcast. Another dull week supporting Hearts, scraping a barrel to Kings to talk about. So we've decided we'll get ourselves a guest that can help us fill the void that is Hearts. I'm sure you'll all know Killy, Federation of Hearts. The chairman, is that the official title? Yeah, the chairman.
No, I'm secretary.
Secretary.
I'm the secretary, yeah.
Or for everybody that's for Livy for the Killy for the Livy Hearts bus, isn't it? That's the best.
The one there, right?
That's the one.
The Bricey bus.
The Bricey bus. And
It used to be.
Until we actually talked about this the other day. We were trying to remember what the pubs in Dedridge were called, because we'd obviously had the Bryson and that's no longer there. And then what do we have? Was it number 1 the square for a while or something too? Is that what it was called? The local?
No, Bar 17. That was.
17.
That was because it did the regatta.
Oh, aye, that's what it is.
Put the money up.
Aye, the great places that Hearts buses leave for Livy. And then
We never left for there, to be honest with you. It was Lizzie Bryce on alone.
Oh, aye.
Yeah. And we've got our the guys that were doing protecting the plaza on Saturday. Shanks and Brads and Kev. He's did a good job keeping the protests away, didn't he?
The wee things that you chain your bikes up to on the plaza that are shaped like hearts, they're safe as fuck.
Aye, did you guard them? Didn't you let anybody put a sticker on them?
I've been there 2 weeks. I've actually lost my job because I've been there.
Just making sure no one does anything to the plaza. Aye, cool. So obviously, with the week that we've had, we've obviously covered the results. We covered Arbroath, we covered Brora, and then we just patched Queen of the South because we were far too angry. And to be honest with you, there's nothing, Queen of the South, nothing new happened in Queen of the South that we haven't seen 100 times this season, and there's no point coming on to talk about the glaring errors that are with the team, because they're the same errors that were made against Brora. They were the same errors that were made against Arbroath, and I'm sure there'll be the same errors that are going to be made against Dunfermline. So we patched it, but we're back tonight. Obviously, we'll dissect, go over the coals, so to speak, of the last week and a bit following Hearts. There's been plenty chat in the media. There's been the radio last night. Our friend Craig Levine, he had some interesting things to say last night, as did, well, they're not interesting, John Collins just talks out his arse, but we can talk about what was said on Sports Sound last night. And then, like I said, just with Killy here, we'll talk about, things that have went on, where can we get any better, what needs to change, how can things change, and then we'll try and we'll fill in just some of the usual nonsense in between. So, Ando, how's your week been?
Aye, not too bad. Enjoying the sunshine. I've had a really good day. It's just a shame that my team are shite. That's really about the size of it. But I can't really complain, to be honest, mate. I'm all good.
To be fair to us, we're not as shite as Brad's team. How's Newcastle getting on, Brad?
Hearts, Newcastle and Scotland, they're my 3 teams. How fucking miserable a life is that, eh? That is brilliant. What do you do to yourself?
Get Nielsen out and get Bruce in. That's class. Get Bruce into Tiny right now. And then, Kev, you dressed up as AC Milan today?
I thought that would be better just to change my allegiance and go Italian tonight, because everything to do with Hearts is just depressing the shite out of me. So that's about it, really. And I just want to give a wee shout out to friend of the show, Rob Fairman. Hope you're all right, buddy. Stay safe. Stay
what
safe.
Is the current Dunfermline score?
Dunfermline, they've scored 1 tonight, but unfortunately they've conceded 5. So, hope he's all right.
Well, the good news is, Rab, you play us on Saturday, so I'm sure you'll bounce right back. Don't worry about that. Sam, your week been all right?
It's been fine. I stopped watching the game at half time on Saturday, so as far as I'm concerned, it didn't finish yet. So it's fine.
I think that's what I missed the most about the football. At least you could storm out to the pub No, you literally have to turn the stream off and storm into your living room. Your bird or your wife goes, "What's wrong with you?" And you go, "Fucking shut up! You don't understand. You don't want to talk to you about it, man." You storm into another room raging. Shanks, how's your week been?
Aye, alright, I'm a wee bit the same as Gattuso here. I'm a wee bit miserable, but I've just been getting my heat down in the garden, so my grass is looking minted.
Well done.
See, when Hearts are getting beat, Kelly, does your phone just get red roasting to folk? Just vent to you as if you can get rid of Robbie?
I'll be honest. See, normally at a game, I would never look at my phone. Half time in that, maybe, but during the game, nothing else matters, But now I've started to find myself scrolling through the chatter because it's that bad viewing that you're as well having a rant and a rave about it,
It is one of the weird things. I know people, and it is an excuse. It's one of the only excuses I'll allow Robbie and the players to have is that COVID, with no fans, and football in general with no fans, it's shite. It's shite to watch. It must be shite to play in. I get that, so they can have that. They can have that excuse, but that's about the only one they're getting afforded is the COVID. But it's shite for everybody. It's not just shite for Hearts. It affects.
You could say they're lucky. There's no fans in the stadium.
That's where I was going next.
Sorry.
Is the fact that I genuinely, we've said it loads and we'll talk about it probably more in depth or whatever, but the players for a long time, one, have not really appreciated or used Tynecastle and the fan base to their advantage, and I think the new guys that are coming in, Andy Halliday, Gary Mackay-Steven, Castanier, all these guys, they better thank their lucky stars that Tynecastle didn't have 18,000 fans in it, because they'd fucking know about it soon enough, man. It would be absolute poison. So the night, we'll obviously, like I said at the start, we'll go over the last few weeks, put a few things to rights, do my head in, that everybody in the media, as they always do, pay no attention to any club that isn't Celtic and Rangers, and now suddenly they think that the Hearts fans are angry because of the last week or 2 weeks, which is just total and utter nonsense. If they'd paid any form of attention to Hearts over the past 4, 5, 6 months, or even longer in terms of over the last few years, they would understand it. I think the anger's heightened now because the court cases last year took away the anger for the team and the players in the backroom staff, and now we felt we turned a corner or whatever, and now it just feels like we're back to where we were before, which we'll go into in detail, and that's where the anger's come from. We'll have our features as well. We'll have Shanks McCann's for this week. Kev's got a quiz for us, and then we'll finish it with an away up in Gorgie. We'll have another discussion about our favourite pubs that we miss up in Gorgie. Normally we would say with the headlines, you have to be living under a rock to not know what the headlines have been this week. We will start in a strange one though, because I think it does tie into where probably the discussion will end up in a minute. We signed that really promising right back, the young guy for Aberdeen, Shea Logan or something like that. He's the next up and coming big right back for Aberdeen. I don't think he's a kicking arse of 33. So that's good for the future, isn't
it? We'll be sure to get a good few miles out of him. But a bit of clarity on this. Have we only got him on loan until the end of the season, or is it on loan until the end of the season, and then there's chat of a permanent deal after that, or is that just shite?
It'll be a way in.
His contract ends at the end of the season, so there's chat of probably signing him permanent.
We've also that's like. That doesn't paint the whole story. When you say, "Oh, he's here on loan till the end of the season," folk go, "All right, well, that makes sense." The end of the season's in 4 fucking games.
I was going to say, it's not really a big disaster if he's only going to be here for 5 games, including Saturday. So then, fine. How much damage can he actually do? My worry is that he actually plays well in those 5 games, and then Nielsen goes, "Oh fuck, we need to have this guy." Then sign him up on a deal. Probably 4.5 years is standard for someone that age. And that's it. Another millstone round their neck.
Well, I think, like we've talked with all laughing and joking aside, this has nothing to do with Shea Logan. I feel a bit sorry for him, to be honest. He didn't. It's not his fault. He's joining the club. He's got to do what's best for his career or whatever. And if you looked at the club's announcement yesterday, 900 comments, none of them about, "All right, Shea, welcome to Hearts." How you getting on? It was just anger. But again, it's just we've spoke about it on this podcast numerous times. Alan Preston made really good points about it on the radio on Saturday as well. If you're Cammy Logan, for example, and you're sitting in your house in your Omro, is it Cove Rangers he's on loan to? Is that where he is?
Somewhere like
Yeah, he's a young right back. You're thinking Jamie Brandon's unfortunately injured. Mikey Smith's away on international duty. Surely I'll get a call. The league's done. I'll get some game time. And then you read in the press that they've actually decided to turn to a 33-year-old for Aberdeen, who I think hasn't played for months, hasn't he? Did he start a plumbing business or something because he couldn't get a game?
He's been plumbing for a couple of years as a wee side job. So I genuinely did read that. He's. I mean, it's a good plan for him. He's thinking about his long-term career post-football, but it's a bit of a brass necker if a pro footballer showing up to take the jobbies out your pipes.
Well, hopefully he takes a few jobbies away for Hearts then, because that would be absolutely superb. It's a thing that's a throwaway term that's used in football all the time, and it's something that stuck with Robbie the whole time he's been here. People call him the Tinker Man, all that sort of stuff. But the big one that's bugged me, and it's a hangover from Levine, is square peg, round hole, all the fancy ways of trying to fit in football players. Like you've just said there, we're going to play our best. So the plan is to play our best right back at centre back, to bring in a new right back to play right back. It's like, there's 4 games left. Is there nobody at the football club that sits down and goes, wait, what are you thinking here? There's a young guy, Aaron Hickey was thrown in with 2 games left of the 2017 season or whatever it was. One of them was we were away to Aberdeen the first game, and then Celtic. They were the 2 games I think he came in for. And then he plays in the cup final a week later, and a year later we sell him to Syria. Like, are the guys that are in the youth academy, are they terrible, or are they not getting a shot? It has to be one or the other, because it can't just be that Robbie doesn't fancy them, or is that the problem? Is that just a problem with Robbie? Does he just not pay any attention to the youth players? Kev?
And we now seem to be saying this particular phrase a little bit like we said anti-Norma, but I'll play devil's advocate for this one. But the question, sorry, Ando, but I get where everybody's coming from in regards to the situation of why we brought Shea Logan in when we've got Cammy Logan away at Cove Rangers. So Cove Rangers are still going to play another 10 games, aren't they, this season? So is it better that the young laddie gets first team action in 10 games, including one? Do they not actually play Rangers at Ibrox next weekend?
I think it's this weekend, Sunday.
This weekend, is it?
5 o'clock or something, kick-off.
So is it better that Cammy Logan gets 10 games, first team football? Okay, I appreciate it's in Division 2? Division 2 they call it, including then also a game against Rangers at Ibrox. Or is it better to just bring them back to the club and let them play 5 games in what could be dead rubbers? I don't know, and that's. I'm not saying that it's right or it's wrong. I'm just asking what's better for his progression as a young laddie.
Oh, sure, let's play for Hearts. That's what he's here for, isn't it? He plays for Hearts, so
that's
why not?
only 5 games.
He also didn't play on Saturday. He was on the bench, and he's on the bench tonight as well. So just
okay.
Devil's advocate, your devil's advocate.
Kelly, is that something that you feel is like one of the major sort of red flags of this season? Is the fact that there's been, I think the stat kicking about now, and it's still true to this day, is that there's been 0 minutes for any player under the age of 20 in the league this year for Hearts. None.
Yeah. I the money we've invested in the youth academy, the returns we're getting are very poor. You think back a few years ago, I think we had the youngest squad in Europe.
Yep.
And now I think we're lucky if we've got anybody under 25.
Well, it was the Killy game, wasn't it? The last game of the season under Craig Levine, where we fielded like the youngest team that's ever played in the Premier League. I think nearly, there might have been a couple of older players in there, but nearly the full squad and the full starting 11 was academy prospects or whatever, and you look at it now, Amoruso lets it run. Did a great thread. We shared it in the group chat the day about debuts for youth players, and I think what have we had two debuts in the past 2 seasons for youth team players.
That's hard to think anymore, isn't it? Another thing that the youth policy I've always wondered about for the last few years as well is when we were producing the good youngsters up to that sort of 18-year-old age group, they seem to stall, just the same as Harry Cochrane stalled. You know, they break into the team as promising youngsters, and then something gets, is it the coaching? Same as was getting angled at a lot of the tactics and what's went on this season. Is it the coaching methods we're employing that's taking football out of these young kids?
And the other thing as well is part of, I don't know if it's been concluded or if it's just been forgot about, but Budge said that she was going to review all of the football department when we brought Stendhal in, didn't she? She said it was going to be a big part of a big sort of survey or whatever they were planning on doing to see how the football department was running. It seems that COVID put that on ice, and now we've just never heard the end of it, because again, it's one of the sticks used to beat the Foundation of Hearts is on their page. One of their method statements, so to speak, is that they want to encourage the club and be part of the club that's going to bring through youth teams. That's what they want Hearts to be. They want to have a conveyor belt of youth talent coming through, all that sort of stuff. And where's that been? You know, it's no, I'm not trying to be horrible to Shay Logan, but what message do we send? You look at the last signings, Gary Mackay-Steven, which he must be, pushing 30?
Mm-hmm.
Micah Smith.
I think McAneff's our youngest signing at 25.
25. Do you know what I mean? And you look as well, and this has nothing to do with McAneff, because I actually like the little glimpses that I've seen of McAneff playing in a position that suits him. I like him. I like that he looks to go forward, which is great. But I've not seen anything from McAneff that I didn't see in glimpses of Harry Cochrane, that I didn't see in flashes of McGill at the start of the season in the League Cup. I don't get it. I just don't. There's been a few young guys that have come through that you've instantly thought to yourself, oh, Cammy, what's Smith, the young guy Smith? He looked good, but I could tell, I think, that he was a few years away from being at that level. Lewis Moore to a certain extent, although I thought Lewis Moore did very, very well under Stendhal, as did Henderson. But there's been nobody that I can think of that's come through that I thought, nah, miles off it. Miles off it type thing. And that's the thing that's my biggest frustration is would Scott McGill have been better or worse than Andy Halliday? I would say jury was out in that. Would he be of better or worse than McAneff? Would Harry Cochrane have benefited from being around the first team squad this season? Anthony McDonald that's away or whatever. Are these guys no better than Freer and Roberts or whatever? That for me should be the biggest alarm bells. If I was Anne Budge and Anne Budge's whole selling to the club thing, and again, I hate people going back to it, but she allowed Craig Levein to build the club in his image with a 5-year plan, how he wanted the coaches to be coached, how he wanted the teams to play. We're now 7 years down the line, and I think Aaron Hickey is the only youth player produced in the Budge era that we've sold. We're just 6 guys kicking about. Didn't play? We played football maybe with our pals and play fives and we watch it professionally, but we're no professional football managers or business owners, and we can see it. So, how the club get it so wrong?
Yeah, well, if we knew that, we wouldn't be sitting here. We would be sitting up at Rickerton or Tynecastle in our offices. But no, you're right. You don't have to be a championship manager or a Premiership manager, so to speak, to see it. We'll watch enough football over a lifetime to realise when you're watching good and when you're watching bad. And right now we're watching bad.
Aye. And the other thing as well is that Craig Levein, to his credit, that we're talking about that Kilmarnock game, if I remember right, did we not have illness, injuries and something else? So he basically said he knows what Hearts fans are like. You've seen it yourself. Play the young guys because the fans will give them a break. They'll cut them some slack. The tension at Tynecastle at Hearts right now is terrible. You're telling me that if Harry Cochrane, McGill, and Moore, for example, got a game on Saturday, when they take a bit of the stick off the team, but it's the fact that we've got Gary Mackay-Steven that's played in the Champions League, he's played for Scotland, and he's hiding. He's not wanting the ball. He's not trying. He's physically hiding. Fans, that's what irritates fans. Nothing. We've said it loads, and we'll keep saying it again. Hearts fans, myself, and probably you, Tate, there is nothing better than a homegrown laddie playing for their home, the club they support, playing at Tynecastle. That's what you want. That's what you want to see. That everybody buzzes off that. So, aye. Okay, Kev, what were you going to say?
It was just something I seen online today. So since the summer of 2014, there's been 28 players from our youth setup have actually made their debut for the club. So that's since 2014. In total, that works out as 504 appearances between the 28 players, and the average is working out about 18 games per player. 10 players have then played 25 or more times in competitive action for the club. But of that 28, 9 of them are still there, and only one of them has been sold.
Aye.
So I think going back to Stevie's point, I think a lot of it comes down to the way in which they're being coached. They're they're going to a particular level, and they're not then getting either. Is it a case they're not getting pushed any further?
The thing that does bug me about some of that stuff is, you could, for example, you can look at Kevin McHattie in isolation. You can say, well, since Kevin McHattie's left Hearts, he's been rubbish, and that's fine. He has. He's went nowhere, but that doesn't mean that Kevin McHattie at Hearts couldn't have been good. It's different. Better players, better coaching, better facilities, all that. And then you can go down the list and say the same with Brad Mackay. You can say the same way Scott Robinson, Jason Holt, who are now playing in the league above us and doing more than enough in that league. So you can go, but Hearts fans seem to always go back and say, yeah, but what's Kevin McHattie done since he left? Well, that's fine, but that doesn't matter, because at Hearts, he actually looked like he could have been all right. Do you know what I mean? Jordan McGee, another one. He went to Middlesbrough. All right, I didn't like Jordan McGee, and I didn't see why loads of folk did. But he's got the opportunity to go down and train with a better club. There must have been something about him. It just seems flawed, fundamentally flawed. And I think, as we'll go on and talk, this is another stem of where the anger comes from, because that's why we pledged to the Foundation of Hearts, is because we bought into the 5-year plan. We bought into seeing young players come through. We hear constantly about the academy. That's all we hear about. It's like the crown and the jewels, isn't it? The absolute, or the jewel in the crown if you're not a nutter. But but you know what I mean. That's the thing that is constantly spoke about, is our state of the art academy and a great academy. And it's like, well, when's somebody going to make it produce? When's somebody going to hold it accountable? Ando.
So, you know how we like the phrase devil's advocate on this
Right.
programme. Use the P word again. Sorry, on this podcast, no programme. We're not on the radio yet. Do you think, and this is an alternative viewpoint, but if you consider like this year, obviously up until the point we basically won the league, and then last year, obviously we were struggling, do you think that there's too much pressure just to actually grind out a result, that the management team, right? So obviously you're talking about Nielsen and Levine, really, because Stendhal never got a good enough crack at it. Do you think there's just too much pressure on them to get results, given the scenario that we've been in, so that for the last wee while they've not been willing to take the risk on playing any young players, for the fact that if they make a mistake or they fuck up or whatever, then they just draw more attention to themselves? Is that a factor? Potentially, maybe. I don't know. I don't know the answer. I'm just putting that out there as a devil's advocate.
But then there comes a point where I don't think that you can be scared of that. I look at the situation that we had on Saturday. If that was Gary Mackay-Steven, for example, that scored the own goal, I think we would have seen the tidal wave of abuse on Twitter. But it's Andy Irving. He's a young guy that we know is a Hearts fan. I didn't see anybody calling him out, or you know what I mean. There's Hearts. This is what bugs me, right? And it's something that we'll come to it with later on. We've heard it in different bits. For example, Andy Halliday on his professional podcast that he does every fucking week will say things like, he'll argue that it's no disrespectful for Rangers to go the full season undefeated. Go back to when we got beat off Dunfermline. he sounded physically raging that Hearts fans were suggesting that Hearts should go the full season undefeated. They said it was unprofessional, it wouldn't happen. And it's like, well, I genuinely don't think they understand how big a club Hearts are, and because of that, they don't understand the expectation of what we have right now. Do you know what I mean? And it's like we said, Halkett's comments only spoke about Brora and Queen of the South. That tells you everything you need to know about what they thought about Arbroath on the Saturday, where we got a 0-0 draw. And we've already heard Robbie's thoughts on Arbroath, the best home record in Europe outside the Celtic and fucking Rangers, as if anybody cares. It's Arbroath. Do you know what I mean? And I think that is a big problem too, is the fact that I don't think the players understand the expectation that goes with it. So just we'll round off, because one of the prongs we're going to talk about was youth. You're Robbie Nielsen, Saturday, 2 o'clock, do you throw young boys in?
Absolutely. 100%. Why don't you?
Who's left though? Everyone's went out on loan except McGill.
We've,
Well, we still have some young boys left, don't we?
we've got
We've
to.
got
because
Denham, he's here.
Denham is on the bench a few times, to be fair, but
We must have a couple of young guys.
I think most of the ones that were on the fringes, the first team, have been loaned out, are they not?
Aye, pretty much.
Both of them.
Aye, the bulk of them have.
The guys we're talking about, the Harry Cochrans, the McGills, and that, they've all been loaned out.
true.
Surely you bring them back for me. Do you know what I mean? Like, what was the final Dunfermline score the night? They've been absolutely
5-1.
scudded. 5-1.
I don't know.
So what? Basically now we're 10 points in front with 15 points available. Like the league's done. Like I don't get. Imagine we'll go into scenarios right now. If you were sitting down with Robbie Nielsen to say, right, how do you get out of this situation that you're in? You say, for me, one of the first things would be like, well, get some of the young boys and get a bit of vibrancy in the team. Play with a bit more openness. You know, if some of the boys come in, do well, Hearts fans will potentially they'll calm their jets a wee bit, because you're at least giving the young guys a chance. If Hearts, telling you now, if we rock up, which they will, I know we will, we rock up to Dunfermline on Saturday, play 4-2-3-1, and the only changes to the team is that Shea Logan comes in or whatever, and Halkett goes back to being centre back out. What's the point, man? Like, do you know what I mean? What is the absolute point in that? Is there anything else about youth just before we move on that has bugged you, or that we've not covered? No. That's got to be going forward next season. That has to be the plan. I seen today, actually, I don't know if you've seen it today, but the rumours that always come up that Ali Crawford again is linked with Hearts. I think the first time when he was linked with Hearts, he was 19. He must be 39 now or something, because it's been going on for seasons, man. It's been going on for seasons. Right, we'll break there just now, and we'll go to Shanksy boy for a bit of Shanks McCann. Do you want to do the shout? You were defending the statues in the plaza last week. Do you want to give the answers to the last set of, if anyone can, Shanks McCann, and then give us this week's ones?
Aye, sound. So 3 shout-outs. None of you's got it right, by the way, but he's got 2 out of 3. Maximus Hound, Airdrie Jambo, and SLT 414. That sounds like a fucking mental formation. You've both got Cholese. Started out good, didn't like his song, so he fucked off. Machino was only signed as a sweetener for Hickey, and then the Diamond didn't fancy him. The one that he's never got, which I've had some hatred for, actually, because apparently on the pod I said Robbie said he would score goals.
You
What I
did.
was supposed to say was Robbo said he would score goals. We all got excited, and he didn't, and that was Connor Salmon. So, if you do your homework,
Did you just Google Connor Salmon? How did you know that Robbo had an article about him?
I just mind him. When we were signing him, and you were absolutely furious in the group chat that Robbo came out and said it would all be fine, so I trusted in the saviour, and I shouldn't have.
But the important thing,
You really
important thing, Shanks, is are you going to make a public apology for making an absolute hound of that, or are you?
Absolutely no.
Good,
I'm not
good,
in your
good.
camp.
Exactly. Don't
No, no.
apologise for fuck all. Well done, mate.
He's taking the Craig Levine stance. I'm apologising for nothing.
It was the pitch, it was the ref, it was the internet's fault. Right.
Right, this week's Shanks McCann, let's go.
You ready?
Yes,
I'm
okay,
strapped
right.
in.
Player 1.
Just so that Kelly knows, we don't have to try and answer these. These are the ones that he gives out to the listeners to try and answer. And these will, if you even get one of these, you should go to your bed immediately because they're total nonsense.
Your quiz is coming later, don't worry.
Arrived on loan, was consistent for a couple of months. 2 months in, Colin Nish smashed his dish. Paid a memorable tribute to Jim Cruikshanks. Thought he'd secured a move to Wolves, Villa or the Tick. Ended up moving to Romania to play in Safeway's car parks.
Oh,
Player
got it.
involved in 370 games with the Hearts over 3 spells. Scottish Cup winner. If we were ever 1-0 up with 5 minutes to go, he would 100% 2-footer anybody in our box. Player 3. I need to take a moment for player 3.
Right.
Still a wee bit raging about him. So he's... Hold on. Have a wee water here.
What is the matter with you, boy?
Right. This boy, he's my most disappointing Hearts player of all time. We got excited because Ronnie Dyla said that he was going to be good. 17 international appearances for his country. He arrived with more false hope than Tam's Tinder bio. He says it was mutual consent. I say we bought him out of his contract a year early, and I would rather invite Cathro round to sniff my bird's pants than see him ever set foot in Tiny again.
That could be anybody, but that's fine.
Oh. Well, you've set a new... I don't know if it's low or high. It's high on comedy value. It's low on like understandability, if that's a word. So, aye, well done, Shanks. Well played. I'll be up all night thinking about them. I've got the first one. No idea about the other two. Anyway.
What, Shanks' Spurs pants? Well, that'll keep you on.
You've been thinking about that.
Let's not turn this into a thing.
Right. Cool. As always, we'll pop them on the social medias. Get in contact with us on Twitter and admin at the website and Instagram with your answers. And if you manage to get any of them right, we'll thank you and shout you out next week. Right. Let's dive into it. Anybody listen to... Is it Gary Halliday? He was the guy from the Foundation of Hearts last night that was on Sports Sound. Did anybody listen to what they had to say in general on the pod on that show?
Afraid not. I've not had a chance to catch up on it yet. I was saying this pre-show, so I'll bow down to someone else's knowledge.
Yeah, I thought it was always going to be a thankless task for anybody given the climate, but I thought it was brave that he stepped up and I thought he actually spoke quite well. To be honest with you, I think he went as far as he probably could in the realms of trying to stay professional in his opinion of what needs to happen with Robbie, which I'm sure Killy will know better than us, having been able to talk to the press. Is hard. We listen to you on Saturday on the radio. It's hard not to swear. It's hard not to get riled up. I thought he spoke quite well. Things that really stood out for me was the pledges. I know after every result, it happens every week, even in good times with Hearts, if we drop points, you'll see the occasional tweet of people saying, "Oh, I'm going to stop my pledge," or that's fine. But this time seems really, really different. I think he said 200 odd people have officially cancelled their pledge.
Wow. All right.
So at best case scenario, they maybe only pledge a fiver. Worst case scenario, they could pledge anywhere up to 25 or more. That's a lot of money when, alright, individually it doesn't sound like a lot, but you're talking thousands of pounds a month, which is thousands and thousands of pounds more a year, which is not good. He then said that another 200 or 300 people had actually indicated or had already lowered their pledge. So maybe been from £20 or £30 a month down to the lowest, which again should, when the whole point of the football club is that the Foundation of Hearts are supposed to be the lifeblood, that should ring alarm bells. And then there's another few hundred people that had indicated they were going to withhold their pledge. Again, forget about we've already spoke about it pre-thing, we forget about the noise that came from Collins and McIntyre, and the fact that they couldn't have, they've not give a shit about Hearts for a year, and then suddenly there's a protest and they think, oh brilliant, let's talk about it, and everything that they're talking about is a week's worth of data. We know that it's a much bigger problem than that, but that's got to be really worrying for the foundation of Hearts. Kelly, you said on Saturday that you were hoping to try and have some form of dialogue, whether it be with Stuart Wallace or with the foundation over the coming days. Has anything like that happened?
Yeah, I spoke to Stuart on Sunday afternoon, and the first thing, I actually know Stuart's, I know you boys are all West Lothian, Livingston as well. Stuart's a Livingston boy as well. I actually went to school at Craigsville High School, so I know Stuart, and the first thing I picked up on was he was sounding very, very, let me say, please. Very, very down, and not just with Hearts. He'd received a lot of personal abuse online, threats as well, and that's not on,
No, that's not it.
But he's hurting the same as we're all hurting, They're all Hearts supporters. We're all Hearts supporters, and none of us are blind. We can all see it. We can all see what's happening. What's going on in the park. Obviously, he couldn't tell me to divulge any information. Stuart also sits on the board of the club, so there's confidentiality and that sort of thing, And I'm not privy to any information like that, and quite rightly so. It's the old saying, loose lips sink ships.
Yeah, of course.
The days are gone when we did used to get things leaked to us, and it wasn't good. I can remember sitting getting teams sent to me on a Friday night and things like that. It's just, it was wrong, so wrong. What the message they'll be giving, and I think they'll take the message back. I think people saying they're not listening, they are listening. They've got a hard task, in fairness to them, when you've got to speak publicly about it. I think it's, one of you touched on something like this earlier on, is that every time we have a bad result and people all start screaming and shouting because I pay my £10 a month, that I've got a right to pick the team next week and let's carry on,
Yeah.
That they can't bow to a mob rule.
Of course.
Or it can't be seen to be bound to mob rule. I think this is a bit more than mob rule. This is a whole support that's discontent right now. And I'm pretty sure the club know it as well. And I'd like to think that since the weekend, the foundation have spoken to the club. Gary, you touched on last night, Gary came on, and I think Gary said as much as he could say as well. I'd agree with you. I don't think they can come out and maybe be quite as blunt as what I can be.
Of course.
They've obviously got links directly to the club, whereas all we are is just supporters, and I just happen to be in a position where I speak on behalf of my members anyway, at least, and from general chit chat with supporters, you get the feeling. I'd like to think the foundation have stepped up at this point in time, and they've made their points clear up. I fail to see how they couldn't and wouldn't if they're Hearts supporters.
Of course, and like I said, we very fortunate that Stuart came on the podcast. Like you've just said there, he sits on the Foundation of Hearts, but he also sits on the Hearts board. We messaged him directly to ask if he would come on. He could have told us to fuck off easily. He could have just ignored us, and he didn't. He came on, he joined in the banter, he shared a laugh with us, and again, from our 2-hour conversation with us, I'd argue with anybody in any pub and club up and down Gorgie in Scotland, the man's a Hearts fan. He clearly loves the football club. We all have ties to the club. These guys give up their time sometimes for no even any money and all that sort of stuff, and they do something that none of us do. And like you said, the abuse that comes from it is out of order. It's not justified. We've been, and you'll have seen it firsthand, Kelly, we've been in the hands of owners that couldn't give a shit about us, genuinely didn't care about the fans. They only cared about themselves. They put themselves first and only them first. These guys, whether you agree with what they're doing or what they did, 100% are Hearts guys, and they're doing it for what they think is the right reasons. So personal abuse and all that sort of stuff is just stupid. It's daft. It's a sign of the times, isn't it? Everybody likes to vent, and the one thing that's always missing, And the one thing that's always missed with Foundation Hearts, it's something that's there in the literature. If you read it, it's not going to be fan run. It's not. We don't get to decide. It's not going to be every Friday night we get a survey through to say should Andy Halliday start at centre mid or what. It's not going to work like that. We're going to be part of the decisions in terms of we're going to have someone on the board that will always look out for our best interest, and that's where I think the angers that we see on the park spill into what happens with the foundation, and it becomes. I don't envy Stuart, and I take no delight in hearing that you said that he sounds down, because that's not fair. It's no his burden to carry.
What it does do as well is it also chases other people away from becoming maybe involved in the foundation.
Yep.
And the club itself as well. The abuse that Anne got at home on Saturday night, that's no warranted either.
Unacceptable.
As you say, these people, they're all Hearts people. They're no doing anything to deliberately harm the club. Don't agree with everything that's going on. Certainly don't agree with everything the way Anne's run the club. But to deliver personal abuse, as I say, Edinburgh, and I'll use Stuart's analogies here at the weekend as well. Edinburgh's a huge financial centre, and we've got a lot of very, very big business brains in Edinburgh. How does that behaviour at the weekend encourage these great business minds to become involved in the club? The minute things start to go a little bit tough for us, well, it's a little bit more and a little bit tough for us, to be fair, but you know what I'm getting at. It doesn't send a good message out to the business community. And I think people have to temper their protests in that respect.
No, of course. And I
protests
think
at the stadium, I'm quite agreeable, and maybe not during a pandemic, right? We shouldn't condone that, but shouldn't back that, but
that's what I was just about to say. Well, there's a difference, and I think Anne and Stuart and everybody would probably say that you're well within your rights to come to the football stadium and protest, pandemic aside. But showing up at people's houses, that's unacceptable. Do you know what I mean? Like, that's no acceptable. You can't be standing outside anybody's house, and that's just pish. That's bad patter. We should be above that. Protest at the stadium, take your anger out at the players and all that. That's fine, but you don't overstep the mark. Brad, what were you going to say?
I think the big issue for me is that I agree with everything that's been said. I just think they have used this phrase a lot. They've misread the room with their statement. They've misread the room with their judgment. In terms of, it almost felt like, I personally felt like they almost were speaking against the majority of their pledgers. So it's not going to sound great when everybody's collective for the first time in a long time. We know firsthand that we say a lot of things against supporters of the club, and they all disagree with what we say. But everybody seemed to be united, and it didn't need to be harsh. It didn't need to say Robbie out. It didn't need to say Budge out. It just needed to say that we fully understand what's going on, and we're going to be putting pressure on the club going forward. We are working with your support, continued support. We're going to keep putting pressure on there to make sure the first team quality, we're getting a fair return for the millions that you've invested. That's all they needed to say. I don't think they did. I think they missed that opportunity to kind of unite with the fans, and instead they've kind of had the counter reaction.
Aye, and I think. Oh, sorry, on you go, Kelly.
Sorry, Ross. Is that you talking about the initial statement that came out last week?
Aye, kind of.
Yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, I agree with that.
I think the worry that what we've said on Twitter as well, the worry that becomes is that the Foundation of Hearts can't become an echo chamber for the board or whatever. And I understand that they do sit on it or whatever, but they can't always just basically copy and paste what the club say and say, "Oh, we stand behind this," because, like Kelly said, we're not always going to be universally on the same page, and that's fine. That's what happens in business. Not everybody always agrees in every single decision that comes, and sometimes fans would have liked, like you said, I thought their statement, and Hearts, to be fair, was tone deaf to what was happening. They could have been a lot more. I've said it, one of the things I don't like about Robbie is he doesn't put enough public criticism or whatever on performance of individual players and the team as a whole. We get deflection in terms of refs and pitches and bobbly weather and all that, when you think we're not daft. Do you know what I mean? Like, we're not silly. You don't have to beat around the bush with us. We know that Gary Mackay-Stevens has been crap, so you can protect them for a few weeks, but sometimes you have to. And I just thought that the statements, the initial ones anyway, they missed the mark. They missed the point of the anger, because it wasn't just because we lost to Brora. It wasn't just because of the poor performance the week before. It's a collective. There's an anger amongst Hearts fans that's been below the surface all season long, and we've been using it against Dundee and Dunfermline. Arbroath don't buy their virtual tickets, buy Cali Thistle's virtual tickets, because we've been angry all year, because we were laughed at for a full summer. And that's where that mob mentality, when we utilise the Hearts fans, there's no fans in Scotland or Britain better than the Hearts fans when someone comes and unites them and says, this is a cause, get behind it. And I just think that the statements were way past tone deaf for me. Killy.
Yeah. After Brora, for me, and Budge, Wednesday morning, first thing up at Rickerton. I don't know if they're allowed, actually. I'm about to say this, and I don't know, maybe she's allowed because of the bubble thing, but could have been done some way or another. But the riot act should have been read to these players.
Yeah.
And I don't think that's been. She should have let that be known to fans. The players have been left in no uncertain terms. That is not, absolutely not acceptable.
Yep.
At any time.
And again, and you'll always get I know, and we went from Romanoff, who was almost Donald Trump-esque, would tell you things for his toilet that popped into his head. They'd, like you said, they'd leak it to whoever and get it all out, and it'd be all total nonsense. And is the polar opposite. Nothing leaves Hearts that isn't airtight. And we Hearts fans have to appreciate that, because you look at some ridiculous statements from Celtic, ridiculous statements from Rangers over the course or whatever. Nothing leaves Hearts that hasn't been properly read through and being like, take that out, take this out, or whatever. You can sense it, but I agree with what Kelly said. The longer it went, 24 hours, 30 hours, 40 hours, and then it felt like the thought of a protest was what triggered the statement, because, like we've said before, we had one paragraph about we're really shite, and then 4 paragraphs about but didn't protest. And it's like, well, read the room. There wouldn't be a protest if it wasn't for that wee shitey paragraph, because the problems that are lying in the football club were encapsulated in a paragraph, and the other 4s are something that if you'd given the right statement, that the club could have printed virtual tickets for the protest on Saturday on the back of that statement, because it just angered everybody. It did nothing to take people away from Tynecastle, whether you agree with it or no. It's just what's happened. And again,
I think, to me, it's sort of underlined again a softness that seems to be running through the club these days, an acceptance.
Yep.
Things like that. And I'm sorry, I'm a Hearts fan. I think we're on the 3rd biggest budget. We have been for a long, long time through our whole career. We're the 3rd biggest club in Scotland. We should be up at the top of the league. We should be sitting at least third. And I would expect us to be challenging the Old Firm. I'm not saying we should be beating them every season, but we should be challenging them. We should be in cup semi-finals and finals every year. That should be a given for us, as far as I'm concerned.
Oh, but again, and like you said there with the statement, we lose to Alloa and miss St Johnstone win the League Cup. And you think, somebody at the football club has to be sitting down and saying, that was a huge opportunity to get to the League Cup final. Don't get me wrong, you've got to beat the teams to get there, but Rangers fall out, Celtics fall out, and you think, well, actually, did Hibs beat Alloa, and then did they have to play one more game and they were in the semi-final? Or was it beat Alloa and straight into the semi?
Yeah. Alloa straight in.
So there you go. Do you know what I mean? So you would look at that and say, right, well, we can beat Alloa because that's fine, and we always beat Hibs, so we're in a semi-final. So, do you know what I mean? But they're the things that it's, again, and we'll finish off in the Sportshound thing as well, because I don't think you can just ignore the fact that they did try and just encapsulate it as if it was a 2-week thing. But there's been loads of things like that over the years. Again, if you were a business owner and say, look at the state that Rangers have been in, and that was an opportunity to build. Aberdeen did it 4 seasons in a row, finishing second. They've played in Europe every year. Derek McInnes has been there. They've been to nine trips to Hampden. They've won a trophy that we've not won in 60, 70 odd years. Somebody at the football club must be thinking, there's only so many of these unbelievably good opportunities that the club can be there. Look at Celtic this season. I know we're not a Hibs podcast, but if I was a Hibs fan, I'd be looking and saying, you look, they've lost at home to Livy, Motherwell, Ross County, all the points have dropped. They should be so much closer to Celtic because you won't get an opportunity like that. And until Hearts, Aberdeen and Hibs start to pounce on those things, and what Killy's right, that's what we expect. The game's just going to be what it is right now. Do you know what I mean? It's just going to be constant up and down. Brad, were you going to say something there?
I was just going to agree with what Kelly was saying. I think we need to start with our, even from the top down. I think it trickles down. If Budge is too soft, and as Kelly said, not reading them the Riot Act, we've heard fuck all for the footballing directors. I mean, absolutely squat for Savage, and what's the other boy's name? McKinley. He off for them at all about this. So that goes down to Levine. Levine was bulletproof. He knew he was in a job. Robbie, he's been told he's getting a 3-year deal. He's feeling bulletproof. He's blaming everybody else. That must then trickle down to the players. We see GMS being shite, and he's probably just sitting there going, well, drop me then. Who else are you going to put in? Halkett, absolute murder. Drop me then. Who else is going to play centre back? Like, nobody's taking accountability, and that must go from the top all the way down. There needs to be a more ruthless streak and a more kind of, I know we don't want to say Hearts fan nature to it, but there has to be a Hearts fan nature in there. This is what we expect. This is our expectation. This is our standard. Deliver it or else. That's what I think.
Shanks.
Even in the playing squad though, Brad, I think it was you, Corbett, that said it in the group chat. Like, where's the captain? When was the last time we heard from him? Like, Halkett, the vice captain, he's not a Jambo. Where is he? Like, give it to Gordon. Just give it to him now and get it fucking sorted.
Aye, but again, it's like we spoke about there. A big believer in that. What managers say to the press, it means fucking nothing. Do you know what I mean? They're asked to come out 20 minutes after a good result or a bad result, and they all say the same stuff. It's all regurgitating on. So they don't actually give you any insight into what's happening. So I get that culture. But what annoys me is we lose to Dunfermline, and Robbie comes out and says, we were always going to lose games in this league. And then that, to me, think, well, you've just gave them an excuse to lose that. Like, do you know what I mean? If Robbie had, an acceptance. If Robbie had absolutely rollicked him, he came out and he said, we're miles off the tempo, miles off this. He wasn't good enough. That wasn't good enough. It's not happening. It stops now. 2 weeks later, we go to Alloa in the Cup. Do you mean so? Then
he's on the defensive. He's on the defensive constantly. It was the same with the Man City, Man United comment.
Yeah.
There's no need for that.
See the Dunfermline game, right? That one you're talking about, Corbett. How many matches was that into the season?
6 or something like
that. Is that right? Okay, so the point being, it was still quite early in the season, right? And he's almost, to your point, Kelly, that acceptance culture. And then you've got Biscuit Tin He'd Better came out after the whatever match it was and says, we all seen that coming. It's the same thing. Right? It's the same thing, right, just dressed up in a different way. It's like, well, we knew we were going to get beat this year, but it doesn't matter. It's all about the league, blah, 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 right? So there's that acceptance of mediocrity, and that's not what we're about as a football club. It definitely isn't. Obviously, we've went through periods of it and whatnot, but that as a fundamental fabric of the club is not something that should be tolerated, and that needs fucking stamped out right away. Now, whoever you have to cut in order to do that, get rid of them, because I can't stand that in my team.
The other thing that I don't think can go unnoticed is that Budge is ruthless. Look at how she was with the court cases. If she didn't have that streak in her, which loads of people always say she doesn't have it in her or whatever, she clearly does, because she didn't just go toe-to-toe with a manager or players. She took on the 41 other clubs, basically, in Scotland because we asked her to. So she's no shrinking violet as far as I'm concerned. I know that sometimes, like, we've seen might counter that point or whatever, but she has it in her. Like, do you know what I mean? She absolutely, whether she knows how to do it in the manner like Kelly spoke about, you know what I mean? Does she show up to Rickerton at a training session and bring captain in and manager in and say, look, it's not happening? Is that what she used to rely on Levine for? Is that what's missing? But again, the other question that we've asked again, and I heard you sort of called it out on the radio on Saturday, Kelly, is where is the CEO? Why is the statement signed by Budge? Surely we brought in a CEO to stop Budge having to do those things. She's the chairwoman, like, do you know what I mean? She's the head of the board. That's her job. The job of the CEO and, to a certain extent, the sporting director or football director is to deal with what happens on the park. Where are they?
Yeah, that's what I touched on. That I know it's been a pandemic on, but this is stopping talking to the media and addressing the fans.
Yep.
Yeah, but it's just through social media, you know. The silence is deafening in that front.
Especially again, it's when he did. We've had one interview. In fact, we did an interview with McKinley as well, didn't we? But we've had one sit down sort of interview where we got to hear Savage's idea for the future or whatever. And again, it's that thing that we seem to be superb at doing. Ticked all the boxes for telling us how great we're going to be in the future. No address of what's happening right now. Or next season, I want us challenging top 4 and playing in Europe and winning cups. Is it right? That's fine. But when you made that statement, we'd already been knocked out of the League Cup to part-time Alloa, the first time they'd ever beaten us in their history. Like, you can't just. Well, we said it on the post-reaction thing to Brora. When there's shite in front of you, you can't expect to be able to talk about what's going to come on in the future and not get covered in shite. You can't. You have to deal with what's here now. I would rather forget next season. This is what my standard is for this season, because I'm sorry, £8 million or whatever it is, playing staff costs, where it is what was in the accounts last year. I don't think it would have been unfair for Anne and Savage or whoever to sit Robbie in at the start of the season and say you lose 2 matches tops in this league, couple of draws where it's not your fault, but we expect a standard. I don't think any manager, given the budget, and look at the league, I hate saying it because it sounds so arrogant. We're here because we were shite and we are being shite in this league, but the standard of this league, name me a player that plays in this league that's actually decent that you would take. It's murder. The league's absolutely...
Craig Whiten.
For the first time, you got his name right.
But it's like...
There's a difference though, like, see if you're losing games and like these games are sort of giant killings because the other teams are putting in hundreds of effort, and like if we were losing games but actually putting in a performance, that would be acceptable. But it's all just first gear, like it's not getting into that sort of top performance. So that's the problem. Like you can understand the odd defeat, but when it's consistently shite, like it's not acceptable.
But that's where I want Hearts to have the winning mentality. The Old Firm place, the Old Firm come against that every single week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Right? And they don't accept it. Why does we, and not just Hearts to be fair, the whole of Scottish football just accepts it that it's Rangers and Celtic. Right. Well, I know they're bigger, but it doesn't mean they say they're better.
Right. And like you said...
And as long as you keep accepting it, they're always going to be better.
Exactly. And when you look at the things that separate, for example, you know, I call it all the time, you could have got as close to Gaza as you wanted to get to Gaza. If he was fucking on it, he'd have bet you anyway and scored. But because he was world class, that's what it is. But the application, the things that, you know, the desire, the passion, running as hard as they do, all that, you can counter natural talent by putting in the effort. We don't have it. And another thing that bugs me is, like you said, we're 6-7 guys on a podcast talking shite. If we were to set up Friday night and say, right, Dunfermline tomorrow, what we're going to come up against, we're going to say, right, well, we're a scalp, so they're probably going to be well up for it. So we're going to have to match that because they're going to... Every week we go into it and we seem shocked that Dunfermline haven't just allowed us to play our game. We don't match individual battles, and that's the manager, that's coaching. That's week after week. Popescu, I worked it out. Popescu is the first header that we've scored since the cup final in December 20th. We've had 71 corners. It's the first goal we've scored.
To be fair, it's probably the first header he's had in target.
On the opposing goal.
But you know what I mean? Like these clubs are built on stats. There'll be stats guys all over the place telling Andy Halliday that, all right, 70% pass completion, but he fucking ran 27k. Well done, or whatever. Like, their stats all over the place. You're telling me nobody's went to the manager and went, we've hit 70 corners in 4 months and scored no goals. Do you want should we do a training session on corners? Like, do you know what I mean? We laughed at the Queen of the South, away to Queen of the South. We had a sequence of 5 corners in a row. We did the same thing. It never bet the front post. And one, you're thinking, right, well, the manager can't do nothing about that in the game, but then it tells you the players are a reflection of the manager. None of them went, do you think we should all stand at the front post? They all just kept standing at the back post going, oh, that's not coming here. Oh, that's not came here. Like, somebody go, he's can't kick it any further than the 6-yard box at the front post. I'll fucking stand there. It's no rocket science, man. It's embarrassing. Brads.
I think this is what's really frustrated me this week, and it's been, obviously, as you've touched on, Halliday said it, Halka said it, Berra said it, Robbie said it. See, when they say, oh, you can't go the full season and not get beat. See, in my head, and I put it on Twitter this week, I looked at every single one of those teams. Any given season for Hearts, I'd expect us to fucking beat them. Yeah. A draw against Arbroath's fucking pish. I'd expect our reserves to go. In my head, call it naivety, call it whatever you want. In my head, our reserves should go out and fucking hammer Arbroath.
Aye. And
we're not. They're not. There's no. And you look at it, it's absolutely embarrassing. I put that tweet out, and we've dropped points to everybody bar. Who's it?
Ayr United.
Ayr
United. So any given team, I genuinely, heart in hand, hand on heart. Sorry, I've done a Euclid, but I genuinely expect us to beat every single one of those teams. Not even beat them. I expect us to fucking thrash them.
Aye,
and it's just not there. That mentality's not there. Aye.
Yep.
But again, what to temper that without us sounding, because we've what 1-2 games in 9 or something like that. But you temper that with saying that Brora Rangers didn't toe poke it for 25 yards, it's hits bare arse and went past the keeper, and you go, for fuck's sake. And we've had 90 shots on target, and their keeper's been the greatest keeper that's ever lived. He battered us. It was 2-1, could have been 3-1, they could have had a penalty, it could have been 4-1. They looked like they could have scored every single time they went forward. There's getting beat, we go to Dunfermline, we go to East End Park, and we play them off the park, and they scored in the last minute with a header. You go, well, you've got to take your chances, but there's nothing you can do about that. But it's the continuation of the same crap. If we don't score in 10 minutes, I know that it's going to be 1-0 or 1-1 because you just see the story over and over and over again. And again, that all comes down to coaching every single week, because as much as we can slaughter Robbie, you know that he isn't sent them out to play like that. He will have spoke to them about you need to be aggressive and you need to win your individual battles and this is where I want the ball to be and all that. But then they go over the white line and they don't do it. He has to address that. That's a problem. He has to fix that.
If they're not doing what he's telling them to do, then why do they keep doing it every week, though?
Exactly, that's what I'm saying.
That's he's the manager. He should be reading make the changes, make wholesale changes, even just for a week, because we're getting beat anyway. So you're as well getting beat with the kids.
Okay, I think as well. I don't think
people in with hunger.
Yep.
Exactly. We haven't made a substitution in the first half this season. An unforced sub, as in an injury. We've never took somebody off who's having one and been like, bench because you've been shite. Again, what we have a culture is what we've seen. We've seen it with Stephen Naismith before. We've now seen Gary Mackay-Stephen. Stephen Naismith got to play the 10. Didn't he play any good? Right. Give him 25 minutes playing as a striker. Didn't he do any good? Right. Put him out to right wing, see if he does any better. Doesn't do any back. Right. Put him back, sitting midfield. He's still doing shite. And it's like, when does it become it's not the position he's playing, it's just that he's shite. Take him off. Do you know what I mean? Send the message to the people. Bench him. It's just, we've been talking about it now for 4 weeks. Gary Mackay-Stephen, when he first come in, you understand he needs legs. He's not played, so keep giving him a game. Now you're not contributing. It's like the longer you play him, the longer you're sending the message to the rest of the squad that he's undroppable, no matter how shite he is. Maybe he does need to be benched. Maybe he sits in the stand for a week and you say, you're not fucking playing, you're not good enough.
I've got a big mate lives in Canada, right? Hearts fan. And he obviously watches MLS. And he told me when we signed him, he says he was shite in the MLS, so he's going to be even worse in Scotland.
Aye.
And he's been 100% right.
Aye. And it's like you said, but that's a culture at the club too, because we always seem to sign these on the way out. For everyone that we didn't give a young boy a chance, we sign some old seasoned pro that's on the twilight of his year, and we see them out the game. We said it on the podcast before. We see out old pros. We let them go out the game. We treat them with a lot more respect than we do with young boys trying to make their way in the game. Oh, well, Aaron Hughes, what is it? You can't get a contract and you're 38 and you want to play for another 2 seasons, come to Tynecastle. That'll be fine, we'll get a job. Stephen McLean, your knees are fucked, you can't run. Come on, we'll sign you. And don't worry, I'll tell the press that we signed you because I know you can't run. Great. Do you know what I mean? It's like, where's a culture at the club? Where that can't be any good for any of the boys. Shanks.
Talking of Canadian rejects, I'd have rather had the myth, the man, the legend, Milinkovic back for the old Vancouver Whitecaps than GMS. I think he would have put in a better performance.
Well,
But I know how much
say
you
that.
enjoy him, Liam. You love when I talk about that every single transfer window.
Well,
It at least delivered. And then the other thing too is, well, we've said it loads of times, one of the things I think is missing completely, and we said it when we had Jamie on, it was one of the first things we touched on, was we need characters. Sometimes you need crazy folk that do stupid things, like a Kyle Lafferty, for example, or a Jason Cummins, or somebody that breaks the fucking monotony of training because it just looks like the place is soulless. Kyle Lafferty's got 3 goals in 4 games or something like that for Kilmarnock. Jason Cummins has got 6 goals in 7 games for Dundee. You're telling me that they wouldn't have walked over hot coals to come back to Tynecastle? You're telling me that we didn't have a place for them at the squad? Again, it goes down to, we look like we're too soft, like we didn't want nutters, we didn't know how to deal with personalities in the changing rooms. We want guys that are, like you said, seasoned pros that just want to come into their work and have a laugh and leave it. Needs to be a culture change.
Instead, we sign fucking folk of like, was his name? Avijay, fucking.
Aye, Donis Avijay.
Aye, exactly. Joe Pereira, Lloyd Damour, Marcel Langer, Elliot Freer, Mihai Popescu, just to name but a few that have been an absolute utter dog meat. You can't tell me for 1 second that we looked at them and thought, oh god, they're going to be an absolute maverick. Not a fucking bit of it. You look at them and go, they're going to be well behaved boys, get them in, we know fuck all about them, let's roll the dice. The signing policy is absolutely garbage. Has been for ages. Just to put a question to everybody, what was the last signing that you were genuinely excited about? I can't even remember. Everybody that we sign is utter shit.
David Vanacek.
Oh God! Someone had to say it. only because I never mentioned that.
I think the only one that we were all happy about and agreed on would have been Craig Gordon coming back, but that was a bloody no-brainer. You know?
That's a no-brainer.
And I've said all along it was the best thing Neil Lennon ever done for Celtic, in my opinion.
Aye.
Letting him go.
And thank fuck would they have him, because this would be a terrible podcast. We'd be talking about, do you think we'll do all right in the playoffs? Because we'd be fucking nowhere near the top of the league.
You know,
your last 2 games tell you why we've missed them.
And
where would they be? Because let's be honest, the guy didn't cover himself in glory in the 2 games.
No,
he didn't.
Dickhead.
Do we think there's a shout for Stone coming in over Cheesy next season?
There has to be.
Oh, why not? Put him on the bench at least, and as understudy to Craig Gordon, yeah.
Well, look, Craig Gordon is the perfect example as to what can happen. Craig Gordon came in at 17, whatever it is, had his first half a season or season at Hearts. It was shite. It was shocking, but he was there.
4 goals at Falkirk. And
Scottish Cup tie.
Aye, but those things, he came in and it grounded him. Do you know what I mean? It set him up. He's going to learn more playing for the Hearts than he is out on loan. Where is he? Albion Rovers or something like that. Is that he's somewhere. He's no Hearts, whatever it is. So we will. I'm going to finish that wee bit because we spoke about sports and I wanted to think with that, and then we will touch on the transfer thing, because obviously the guy that's in charge of the recruitment seems to be one of the names or Teflon. He doesn't ever seem to get mentioned in any of the things, and he's overseen. I think Shea Logan yesterday becomes the 99th Hearts signing under Ann Budge.
I'll tell you the now because I've got it here. I've got my wee spreadsheet open. By my reckoning, it's still only 97. So maybe I've missed a few out there. But Shea Logan number 97.
I heard Ali Crawford's going to be 100.
But even there, I think Alan Preston made a very good point. We average 14 signings a season. 14 signings every single. 7 signings a transfer window. That's a full team. People in England, in Scotland or whatever are moaning because you're allowed 5 subs. you know what I mean? You're allowed to bring on 5 subs and completely change your game. We signed 7 players every transfer window. And it's like, again, we like to laugh and joke about it, but when you actually look, that's our money.
Aye.
At best, what did we sell 12,000 season tickets this year? Was it as much? It was about round about there, wasn't it?
I was about 12, I think, yeah.
So then you say, right, best case or whatever, they're going to be between 300 and 400 quid, maybe 500. It's nearly 6 million quid invested into the football club. It's nearly 12 million pounds of Foundation of Hearts donations. You go, there's 18 million just for the fans, just for us putting our finger in our pocket to say, aye, I'll buy a season ticket, aye, I'll pledge my money. That's not even talking about buying merch, the streams for the tickets, no taking your refund for last year, your cardboard cutouts at Tynecastle. It's somebody somewhere, the monumental waste of money that has been through the doors and through the books at Hearts. That's something that really should be spoke about more in the press and amongst Hearts fans as well, because I tried to go through it the other day. Osman Sow we got money for was about $1 million. Aaron Hickey we've had $1 million for. I think Rossi went for
I was going to
close
say
to
Igor
$1 million.
Rossi.
He went for close to $1 million, something like that. And everything else has been $500,000 to maybe 700 grand if we've been lucky.
Well, the ones that I've got that when I was compiling this stuff together, when you demanded it, Corbett, for an episode way back when, we sold. I've got Kyle Lafferty. We sold him 452k. Ismail Goncalves 360k. Obviously the Aaron Hickey money, the Osman Sow money was 1.73 million. That's the actual only figures that I can see. The rest of them were all undisclosed. We never ever got told officially how much we'd sold them for. Obviously, rumours are one thing, but you look at that versus what's in the other column of bought for over the same period. It's I don't have that detail, I'm afraid, but it's not going to be anything like as high as that. But it's the wages and the turnover of all the loan ease that you get, and all the journeymen that come here, collect a wage. They might come for fuck all, and then we punt them on for fuck all, but they're still stealing a wage. So we just, our signing policy, as I said earlier on, is garbage. I know you're going to cover it, but we're not a selling club.
No, but that's the whole point of the structure of the club, is we're supposed to be.
Exactly.
Do you know what I mean? You're supposed to bring in a Kyle Lafferty for a season and sell him for money and profit. You're supposed to develop Andy Irving and sell him for profit. Andy Irving's going to walk out the door for nothing. We'll maybe get a development fee from him because for whatever reason the contract negotiation has broke down. To be honest, would you, if you were Andy Irving now, would you sign for Hearts playing in this team, playing in this style? Fuck, would you fuck? No. Do you know what I mean? It's boring. He's not going to develop playing this. So, and that's true. I think we had pretty much the same situation with loads of young boys where we let them, again, Alan Preston made a good point here, but there's Josh Doig at Hibs. He was on the Hearts books. He was let go. Liam Gordon, St Johnstone, he was on Hearts books. He's let go. He just won the League Cup. Do you know what I mean? And you think there's something fundamentally wrong at the football club. And to round off just with the thing I was talking about there is, name another club in Scotland that isn't Celtic or Rangers that's had £20 million worth of investment for season ticket money and their fans over the last 5 years. It doesn't happen. And we've been in a situation. Killy stood on the soapbox and been with the guys trying to save Hearts. We were literally begging people, buy this and do that, bake sales, do face paint and do something. We need money. Because that's how bad times were being. Now it seems that it's like, fuck it, £6 million worth of season ticket money. What are you saying, Connor Salmon? Come on down. How much you want? £4,000. Fucking brilliant. But you done scored 1 goal in 55 games for us. No bother. We'll release you on a free. It's madness. Loic Damour, he's going to walk out the door for Hearts being one of the highest paid players for 3 years, and he's done the square root of fuck all. That's where we spoke about earlier about the anger and the tone of the Foundation of Hearts statements and Hearts statements. They're the details that are missed. They're the details that are missing when we talk about why we're angry. We're not angry because we lost to Brora Rangers. We're angry because this has been a fucking huge opportunity wasted. just thing we talk about sports in there, I couldn't help but fucking laugh. I say laugh, I wanted to punch fuck at my radio when Craig Levine said that you have to ask Daniel about the mess that he inherited.
What, wanky?
Oh my god. I know that
Saturday worse.
I ken that's his sense of humour in it. For people that know Craig Levine know that he's dry and that type of stuff, but that at the time, I just don't think that that's funny. I don't think that he's in any position to be laughing about that situation, and it just helped. Again, for a Hearts man, he just played into the hands of knobheads like Collins and McIntyre who just want to turn this into a we hate Robbie Nielsen because 2 weeks worth of performances and no taking in the bigger picture. Anybody else want to punch the radio when they heard that?
I actually switched it off.
That's the thing, Phil. I mean, but Robbie's taking the brunt of it now. This isn't just Robbie.
No.
Oh, of
This
course.
has been going on for the last few seasons now.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically been going on since we came out of administration. It's been decline season after season. Which, last other on, it's not just Andrew McKinley either. It's been before him, to be fair to him. So there's a common denominator here.
Yep.
And as much as she's done a lot of good, when it comes to running the football side of the business, she's failed drastically.
No.
Yep.
She's taking bad advice from, well, she'll obviously be the first one to admit that she's not close enough probably to the footballing side of things, but she must have advisors that are steering her on this kind of stuff. And again, happy to be corrected. You probably
No,
know.
he did. He made the joke on SportsCenter.
No, did he?
That's the problem,
I must have
innit?
missed
Craig
missed
Levine,
that bit, but
that's our advisor. Everything that happens through Budge feels like it goes through Craig Levine first.
aye, she was just taking bad
Even
advice from the footballing department. Let's say if that was Levine, then fine. You know what? Fucking get him the fuck. I hope it. Like he made a joke. I did hear him make a joke on the BBC actually about how there was a protest outside Tynecastle, and that was because it was the first time he'd been back at Tynecastle in over a year. I'm like, you know what? You're laughing and you're trying to laugh that off and is it poke fun at yourself? But it's fucking true. I wouldn't be surprised if people were gone mental because Levine had walked through the front doors again. Absolute arse ride of a boy.
But like you said, the problem that we have, and it's for me, people, I'll argue tooth and nail with them about what happened with Daniel Stendhal. Daniel Stendhal came in and went, for 5 years you've let a man build a football club in his image. And Budge, admittedly by herself, has said that football, it's not a Monday to Friday, it's not a bread and butter. That's why she brought Craig here, was because she needed advice. She needed to know what football clubs were meant to run, and that's fine. But when he stepped away from being football director and became the manager, that all those lines become blurred. Do you know what I mean? And that's what half the problems that we have now is they was trying. We've talked about it before. We know that he would let the John Daly's and the Liam Foxes of the world take the training, and he'd show up on a Friday. And you're like, but you're the fucking manager, and we're making the same mistakes every week. You need to be there Monday to Friday. I don't care. It's horrible. I don't care how the under-12s are set up. It doesn't mean anything to me now. I care about Saturday 3 p.m. when 11 boys walk out to Tynecastle. And that's where for ages it's been blurring of the lines where you said, let's have a curry shed. Let's have national minimum wage for everybody. Let's have 0% bars. Let's have this. Let's have that. And it's like, great, that's superb, but I don't pledge to the Foundation of Hearts because I want a korma before the match. I pledge because I want to see fucking 2 competent centre-backs that didn't get battered off Brora Rangers. And that's where the blurred lines are. And I think Stendhal fell on the sword because he came in and went, this is a shambles. This doesn't work. This needs change. That needs change. That needs change. That needs ripped up. And she's jumped at the first opportunity to get somebody back in that knows how Levine set it up and can keep it going. And because that's what it feels like to me. I might be miles off it. I might be miles wrong, but that's what it certainly looks like to me as it is
I
now.
think she went for familiarity.
Yep.
That's what I think. You know, yeah, with Robbie, yeah, it's that comfort zone.
And that's not an environment for anybody.
No, certainly an environment for success on the football park.
No,
But it comes back round to what we said earlier on. It's that accountability aspect, doesn't it? She doesn't want to take accountability for the mistakes that she's made from a footballing side of things, and neither does everybody else that's been involved in that whole circle. And until somebody actually does go in and maybe break the circle are we going to see a change? Are we going to see an improvement? And I'm wholeheartedly behind you, Killy, is that we should be third. We should be aiming for semi-finals and finals of cup games. That's the kind of that's what we have. That's what we've asked for, and that's what we built.
Well,
And I'll go back to what John Cahoon said when John joined us a number of months ago now, and he's been on a number of other podcasts since. All we ask for on every match day is you, as a football player for Heart of Midlothian Football Club, turn up and give your fucking all. And there's too many of them at this club nowadays who simply do not stand up and take accountability for what they actually produce on a park. If that was me in my workplace, my boss would haul me in our room and say, "What the fuck are you doing?" I would be held accountable for my poor performance. But these guys that turn out on a park on a Saturday afternoon, Monday night, Tuesday night, Wednesday night, whenever it is, are not being held accountable. And that comes from the top down.
Kev, we already have a potential, like, so you're talking about breaking the chain there, right? So breaking the chain of mistakes. What the hell's McKinley doing? And again, not to go over the old point, but we've kind of spoke about that already. That guy was brought in principally, you would think, for that reason. Yet, we've never heard fuck all from him. So the
Is he a
conduit,
football man, though, Scott?
I don't know, mate. I genuinely don't know.
So,
I don't think he is.
Is he a football man? He's more. Is he not being more of an administrator at the SFA?
Yep.
Possibly.
Is he a football person? You know, I think for me, I'm pinning more hope on Joe Savage breaking that chain, because there's a man who's been round the doors in English football, which is obviously a bigger league than ours. I've seen better quality as such championship, but I would like it at maybe the top end of Premiership. Maybe being a bit too much credit to Scottish football there, but that's a guy, if he's allowed to, and that's I think is the big question is if he's allowed to take control of the football side of the business, and run it as he sees, put his own manager in, because Robbie was appointed before the sporting director. Again, the sporting director should have been in first and appoint his own man.
And again, to go back to the catalogue errors, we stopped the search for the CEO and the sporting director, and then out of nowhere, announce a manager change. And then, like you said there, it's like, well, what are you doing? Because like you've just said there, any football manager worth their salt or a directory footballer whoever is going to come in and he's going to have his own ideas, he's going to have his own men. Do you know what I mean? Look at, I hate to use the finger, but Stephen Gerrard walked into Rangers and went straight from top to bottom and went, I need my own doctors, I need my own coaches, I need my own physios, I need everybody, clear them out. I don't want anybody that was here before, I want my own guys because it's my vision. It's my vision. This is what I want today. And then Ross Wilson, their sporting director, comes in and his only job is to get what Gerrard wants. Do you mean? And you look, if you're telling me if Joe Savage right now could sit down and pick a list of 10 managers he wants at the football club, would Robbie Nielsen feature on it? I don't know. Would he? I don't think he's going to be his man. So, it's a whole catalogue of errors which I've just, they're comical, but they're no, but if it didn't impact us so much. So we might as well get to the crux of it before we move on to other things. What needs to change? Obviously, we're sitting here. I think, me personally, I'm at a point now where the ship has sailed for Anne Budge, in my own personal opinion, because once is a trend, once can be a coincidence, twice is a trend, and the only common denominator that's been here through all of the decline, as Kelly said, but I'm not putting the words into Kelly's mouth, has been Anne Budge and her guidance or whatever. So I don't foresee how. See, if she'd sacked Robbie on the Wednesday morning, I'd have kind of went, oh, all right. There's the ruthlessness that we've seen in the summer for the court cases. She's done something about it. She's, she does have a bottom of the barrel, because right now, you look at every manager that came in and left at Hearts. That's happened because the fans have demanded it. The fans chased Cathro. We weren't happy. We'd lose at East Fife and he kept his job, and then we draw at home to Dunfermline and get put out the League Cup, and it's like, he needs to go. And then we're the same with Levine. We've had the protest to get Levine to go because she hasn't sacked him, and now we're at a point now where we're going to have to protest to get rid of Robbie because Budge isn't sacking him. So we're saying about accountability. Where's the bottom of the barrel for Anne Budge? What would it take for Anne Budge to go, wait a minute, that's not acceptable, because we just lost for the first time in 121 years to a non-league team. Like, it doesn't get any more embarrassing than that. So for me, Budge has got to go. It's the culture that she's the top of it. Everything filters through her, and I just think I don't know if she just gubbed with football and has just had enough. What about you guys?
I don't want to be.
I think sorry.
No, Brad's on you go.
I think I share your sentiments. As I said earlier, for me, there's a bit of rot setting and you need to change it for the top down. It's filtering through the full system, the full club. There just needs to be a change now, and I think, as you said, I don't have the faith that if something goes wrong again, she won't stand up and go, "This isn't good enough. You're out." And I think we'll just see the same trends happening over and over and over again. Let's give somebody a long-term plan. It was really bugged me what you said to me this week because I didn't know about it. Is that she'd said that Robbie's got a future of 3 years, and in the football industry, in the current industry, how can you guarantee that? How do you not know he's going to be shite for the next 6 months?
Exactly.
And he has to get bins. You can't say that. By the way, you've got a job for 3 years. It's not the culture that we live in. It's about results. It's a results-driven game. If you don't get it, then you have to go. So I just think her whole process is wrong. Change it altogether. Start afresh. Get somebody new in, some new ideas, new blood. Let's go again.
Yeah,
that'd be my process.
You're right to say that as well, and it's a theme that we talked about the club being tone deaf. Anne Budge released that statement 27 days ago because fans were starting to get annoyed at performance, and instead of saying you're right, performances have been rubbish, I've set out some clear objectives for Robbie that I expect for the remainder of the season. Progression in the Scottish Cup. We knew we were playing Brora. We knew we were playing Stranraer. They were two games that, without doubt, we should be in the hat come the end of those. I want to win the rest of the games. I don't want to lose any more matches. And instead, she said what you just said. Trying to be funny or whatever it was, it felt to me like defiance. It was almost like, shut it. I make the decisions. Robbie's here for 3 years because I told him I want him to be for 3 years. That's ludicrous for a owner of a football club to say. We could have lost every game from now to the end of the season. Like, she dug herself a hole. She backed herself into a corner.
That's a question, though, is it? What happens if we do lose every game between now and the end of the season? We get beat on Saturday against Dunfermline. It goes down to 7 points. I think Wraith is actually our last game of the season. I think that's the last game of the season. Imagine it went down to that.
No. You can't be jumping into my camp. I said this. No. I've been getting filters for not being happy clapping all year. The league's in the bag.
No. I wasn't jumping into your camp, mate. I'm just asking the question. If that was to happen, does that mean she can't sack him because of that comment?
Aye.
Fuck knows. I'll be supporting Man City anyway.
The thing is, she's very close to making the exact same mistake twice. By her own admission, she waited too long to sack Craig Levine. Yep. She's doing the exact same now with Robbie. Mm-hmm. How long is she going to wait? How much damage is going to be done? She's still allowing him to sign players, for God's sake. I know it's only for 5 games potentially.
No, but you're right. It's still the same thing. The thing that really bugs me that hasn't got mentioned is you're telling me Jim Jeffries hasn't chapped her door to say, sorry, Anne, but what? We're at the cup to Alloa and we're at the cup to Brora. Like, you're telling me that he's not in her ear saying something has to change. If, like you've said there, Kelly, he's been round the doors. All right, McKinley, we don't know enough about him. He's been an administrator or whatever, so he might not be the type of guy that we think is. But Joe Savage has been in football for a long time. Mm-hmm. Surely he doesn't have to be a Hearts man to know that those performances. He sees the books, he sees the training, he sees the performances. Surely he's chapped the door to say, "What are we doing?" Because we're selling season tickets in 2 months. If it continues, we just said there, we can get anywhere between £5 to £7 million in season ticket sales. As a football club like Hearts, that isn't Celtic and Rangers, with the shite TV deals and broadcast deals that we have, that's the lifeblood of the club, plus the foundation of Hearts. They can, like you said, you talk to Stuart Wallace, all these people can touch, they know the temperature of the water, they understand what's happening. Is she just ignoring them? Because that's my worry. As like you said, we are now. I don't think we're on the verge of making the same mistake twice. I think we are making the same mistake twice. I think that it's got past that stage. For me, any time fans are at the door, and I'm not saying mob rule wins all the time, but this isn't fans just didn't jump out their house because we lost to Brora Rangers. This is a culmination of things. The fans are at your door protesting. You've misread the room. Do you know what I mean? That's where you take stock and you say, right, we're going to let Robbie see the end of the season, but in the summer he's gone. That would be my business decision, because there's no you can't salvage it from here. There's no road back. It was the same with Levine. There's no way back. When we lost 5-0 at Livingston, he should have been took into the office and said, that's the line in the sand for me. Sorry, that not just the performance. It was the shambolic nature of the performance. Do you know what I mean? It was a total and utter collapse. The shell shock nature of how you can lose the amount of goals that we lost in that space of time. It was a disgrace. That should have been the end of it, but we're making the same mistake again. Shanks.
The players can.
Oh, sorry, only got that.
I was just going to say, the players can clearly see that as well, because they've not even reacted on Saturday after that embarrassing defeat. They're not playing for Robbie now, are they? Really?
And that's exactly where I was going to go with that. Is if we look at where we were in the pandemic when season tickets were getting sold last time, there were fans thinking they were actually going to get to a game. Now, if we'd have known what we knew now, would that many people have bought tickets? Because I think, certainly for me, I couldn't have gone back and claimed my refund. 3 books in the family, just wouldn't happen. The money's there, we've paid it, it's done. Respect to people that had to do that, I totally understand. We're now in a totally different era. We're 12 months down the line. People have obviously gone through financial hardship, and for them to commit again and still not really know 100% that they're going to get in next season, because you don't know if you are. You don't know where we are with the vaccine. Is it a case of actually something needs to change now to be able to spur fans on to actually want it back at the club again? Because everybody's, kind of things start at home at the moment, and we've all got stuff that we're going through, and yeah, football's a big part of our life, but if people have lost jobs and things are a wee bit upside down, then maybe people will be a little bit slower reacting and waiting to see what happens. And this is not going to help the financial situation of the club, this kind of indecisive nature of what we do between now and the end of the season.
Shanks is right. COVID is going to be a big impact. It's going to be here next year as well. I don't care what anybody says. So the chances are, the first half of the season, your season ticket's going to be a donation again. It's going to be a donation to the football club in exchange for some live streams. Do you know what I mean? And people are going to seriously think about that this season, because last year was different. We'd just come off the court battle. Everybody was united. Everybody was like, right, well, fuck you. We're going to come straight back up. We're going to take a mockery of this league. We're Hearts. This is what we do. You can have my money, even though I've no got it, but you can have it. This season, it's going to be different. It's a completely different landscape, and that's why the reaction you've seen from everybody right now is the reaction to, it's the first time in a long time that the club could be financially damaged to a point where, it could be unrepairable, the relationship between fans and the club. And we've seen what happens when that happens with Chris Robinson. We're complaining that Budge, there's people outside her house. Robinson was getting hounded off buses and having his house set on fire, and that, it's no condoning it, but when there comes a fork in the road and when it goes past it with Hearts fans, there's no going back. And I would hate to see Budge chased and no thanked for the stuff that she has done, because if it wasn't for her, you can't get away. We wouldn't be here. We wouldn't have a podcast. We wouldn't be talking about it. We'd be dead. So I would hate for her to have to be hingweed out the back door and nae thanks, because that's nae way to end a legacy. But something has to change. You can't just keep doing what we're doing right now. So aye, that is annoying. It is very much annoying. Well, like I said, Kelly, thanks for joining us. It was great. Hopefully some things go back to some form of normality. I'd seen just one last thing. I'd said Gary Halliday had said last night on the chat that there'd be an announcement of some sort over the next coming days. Have you any inside track as to what that could potentially be, or guessing game like us?
Guessing game, lads, absolutely none. Stuart never intimated anything like that to me at all on the weekend, so whether something's came about after that conversation or what, I don't know. But what that announcement could be, I don't have an inkling, honestly.
That's cool. Right, well, thanks for your time, Kelly. I appreciate it.
Thanks, guys. Really enjoyed it.
Kelly.
Thank you.
Cheers. Thanks very much, guys.
Bye now.
Right, cool. let's go to Kev. You've got the quiz Roy Simpson duties this week, don't you?
Chris Roy Simpson, yes. And I will admit that it's going to have to run over a number of weeks, this particular quiz. So
We'll
apologies.
decide that, Kev. We'll be the judge of that. If this is
This is like a
utter
Netflix true crime documentary where you never actually find out what happens at the end. Pish.
this is the pilot, it could be cut after one episode.
Cut off there's a good chance. There's a high possibility or probability that this will be cut. So we'll end up on the cutting room floor by Tam and by Ando. But since the turn of the century, that's the 1st of January 2000 to October the 1st of 2015, Hearts had 119 goal scorers. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to run through over the next few weeks. We'll aim as a group to get all 119. So this evening we will start A to E, which is 23 goal scorers in total. And all I'll simply do is go around the room and see who can get them. You can do it in alphabetical order if you want, or I've got them all written down. You can just go A to E.
Is this first names or surnames?
Do we need to have our
just
hands above our
surnames.
head for this?
Ideally, aye. I feel like I'll get my own back for me having to stick with my hands above my head or my hands in view.
Did you say from 2000 until 2015?
I did, yes.
Yeah.
2000 to 2015. So I will just go around the screen as it is. So, Brad, you're first.
Right. So I can do any ATE or does it to start at A?
No, you can do any A to E you wish.
Right. I will go with Eckersley.
Eckersley, yep. Ando,
Andy Driver.
yep. Shanks,
Yeah, I could Shanks this.
Oh,
I think I will. Is this like killer? Will I be out if I?
no,
make
I'll
it
let you go.
Alright,
Mate.
Kev's
I'm gonna
keeping
go.
points.
I'm gonna go Bobbin.
Wobbin, yes.
Yeah.
Say it right though, eh?
names of any Hearts players. Bobbin. Bobbin did he play
Bobbin
for
for
Hearts?
apples. East of Pish.
Never heard of Bobbin. He's not getting that as a point. He does lose a life for that. He's got 2 attempts left.
Is that it? All right, okay, no problem.
I didn't see Bobbin.
Right, Tom, who?
I can't see
You
your
getting
hands,
us?
Sam.
Yeah. Oh, aye.
Right here.
Aye.
Bednar.
Bednar, yes. Corbett,
He scored for us, didn't he? I'm trying to remember my alphabet now.
Struggling here. Are you really struggling?
I hate Hearts players, so I'll say Doncowie. I was
Oh,
Don Cowie did not score between 2000 and 2015, mate.
still sticking with my answer. I'll stick with it.
So,
Happy to take a killer life off me.
kill a life for that. Right, no problem. Back to Brad's.
Christoph Berra.
Berra, yep. Ando,
Bruno Aguiar.
Bruno Aguiar, yes. Shanks.
Come fucking hell, Shanks. Come on.
Come on,
What
Shanks.
the fuck knows
Shanks,
Hal Cochran when he was fucking 4-year-old? Fuck
Don't
off.
worry, I'm the same boat as you. I can't think of any players.
Me, Tom.
probably an obvious one, but Mark De Vries.
Mark De Vries, I will give you. Ando. No, it's not Ando. Corbett.
A pass.
Brad's.
Davidas Chesnauskas.
Chesney. Ando.
I'll take Colin Cameron.
Colin Cameron. Shanks.
Fuck off. I can't do this with a pen. I need to write stuff down. It's how my brain works. Ellie Brown.
Billy Brown with a diving header.
Aye. I'm just leaving that there. I'm just generally leaving that there.
There
Tom.
are so many. I'm genuine. You know what? I'm gutted with all yous. Next.
Come on, Tom.
I'm actually struggling now, no?
I'm going to write stuff down. Fuck you all.
I don't know if he scored, but Jose Concalves.
Econ Galvez is no.
Because it's A to E and Goncalves is G, which is after E in the alphabet, Tam. You fucking idiot. So
Well,
you're
I
out.
thought it was C, Ando, so that makes me even more an idiot.
Aye.
Are you having a shot, Carbet?
Number 22,
Who was your favourite player?
Stephen Boyack.
Stephen Boyack.
Right.
He eventually gets there. Brad.
I'm going to go with a risky number here.
Oofed.
Kenny Anderson.
Kenny Anderson did score in that period. Ando.
Mark Burchill.
Mark Burchill also scored in that period. Shanks, now that you've been writing it down, are you back in the game?
I've not written it in.
Kev, how many have we got?
You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. 10 to go.
Kev, I'm getting a bonus point for my next answer.
Alright, but it's Brad's first before you, Ando.
Right.
Right, I will...
Darren Barr! Fuck them all!
Darren Barr.
Right, come on, Brads.
Right, Brad's going.
I'm going to go with...
I've been skipped. I
Oh,
don't have
sorry,
an
Tam.
answer, so carry on.
I'm going to
Made an
go
answer.
Tam.
No, he's made an ass of himself.
Okay, Julian Brawley.
Again, I can't see your
probably
hands.
didn't score.
I'm not convinced that you're not
Oh, he didn't.
Never
Googling.
scored for that.
Didn't score.
He scored for Hearts. So,
Over to Brad's.
over to Brad's. See now, one.
Right, okay, I will go with... I'm going to have to pass
Wait,
me.
can I just... Oh, Shanks
No,
has gone.
it's me next. And
It's
I'm
Ando
getting
next.
all the
Arsenal
points
switch.
for this
Hurry up.
because it's Ismail Bouzid.
Bouzid, correct.
His name's actually Quizmail. so-
Quizmail, that's right, sorry.
Right, Shanks,
Let's go.
take the limelight.
Is it the Bosnian Roadrunner? Your Sad Vestlija?
No.
Did
That
he
was
even
me.
play for Hearts? Any
He
games?
played 7
Never-
times or something.
7 times, never scored a league goal.
Oh.
Cam, see when you turned round there, I thought you had like a wee dagger earring or something like. See, like you get goths that have got
Oh,
like
nice.
tunnels. I thought you had like a wee dagger or something dangling through it. Look.
Bam,
Wow,
Come on,
Jim.
Tam. Come on, Tam.
Right.
Rectify your arsehole of a mistake
Oh.
earlier on.
Smash it.
It's Corbett.
Ian Black, Craig Beattie. There you go. There's two.
Ian Black, Craig Beattie, I'll give you. Right, no problem. We have 5 to find.
The jukebox.
Jukebox jury. Yep, well done. Back to you then. Go for it, Brad.
Callum Elliott.
Callum Elliott is one.
We've got another one. Dale
I've
Carrick.
got one.
Or has he been
Dale
said
Carrick.
already?
I'm going to say a ridiculous player here because I don't think he would start at the club, and I'm going to get pelters on Twitter. Stefan Adam.
Stefan Adam. Well done, Shanks.
Oh.
That was the one I was expecting.
Shanks say.
So 2 to find. Can give you the. I'll give you the letter.
Harry.
So
Fair
both names begin with E for Echo.
Stephen Echo.
Stephen Elliott.
Stephen Elliott. Aye.
Stephen Elliott.
Callum Elliott.
I said
Callum
Callum
Elliott.
Elliott.
Callum Elliott. Good try though.
One to find.
Big player. Played many games.
No, well, he came, got injured, then fucked off.
That sounds like one of my
That's
features.
every player, Kev. That's every player that's played for Hearts.
Exactly. Exactly.
Oh, wait.
Closer
I've
to
got
50.
it. I've
Go
got
for
it because I googled him today and he's absolutely honking jobbies. Stefan El Hasanoui. Oh no, wait, that's a H. Are you counting
No,
that?
it's El Has.
El
Yep.
Hasanoui. Yeah, I'll take that.
Fucking hell.
Bradley, you nearly absolutely El Hasanovi'd that.
El Hassan
Out of the
We need
23,
Mm-hmm.
Ando, you gave us 5.
Fuck off, give me more than that.
I've got 5 here.
Alright. Shite.
Shanks actually gave us 2, but said he wasn't playing any longer.
Rage quit.
Brad's gave us 5. Wait a minute,
There
actually,
you
I
go.
tell a lie, Ando, you did actually, you've given us 6, I just can't add up.
I was gonna say
Brad's, who gave us also 6. We've then got I nearly called you Fraser there. We've got Tam, who gave us 4. Corbett, who gave us 4, and the rest was made up by Shanks.
Right, cool. Well, thanks for that, Kev. That was fun. That was 21 minutes of my life I really enjoyed. Right,
love it.
we didn't know what to subject Killy to have to remember that we were playing a football game on Saturday because it's depresses all of us. But we might as well do predictions because, again, it's the only league that matters now is to see which one of us talks the least shit about Hearts. So just quickly, Hearts played Dunfermline on Saturday, who got scudded 5-1 the night, who'll win 5-1 on Saturday just because that's what Hearts do. Ando, what's your predictions for Saturday?
Well, it's Dunfermline. We are absolute dog meat. We're going to be on, well, normally you'd think we'd be on an absolute fucking hiding. I reckon this is the game just to add insult to injury for Big Ram Fairmlin, and hopefully we get him on Saturday for a live reaction. I'm going to say it'll be Hearts to win by 3-0.
Cut that out, because that'll be embarrassing for you.
Probably, but I'm quite happy to stand on it. It's fine.
Hey, Brad's.
Hearts are going to win 2-1. Shea Logan with a brace, and we'll all be loving him and Robbie again. There you
Well,
go.
I thought you meant in a brace because he'll be injured, and it'll be the pointless 5-day loan of any Hearts 5-day loans. Shanks.
Is Craig Gordon back?
No.
No.
Oh, is he?
Really?
I play tomorrow back on Saturday.
Oh, I've
Play tomorrow at home.
Hey,
That's
thanks.
Is Craig Gordon back?
Yes.
Yes. Okay, so we'll only get beat 2-0.
Only get beat 2-0. Okay.
Tam,
1-1.
Kev,
Desmond.
Okay.
Decent. To be fair, I'm going to shout out Rab Fairman here because since about middle of December, he's been telling me that Dunfermline will finish 5th this season. That has been his prediction all along, and now they are 7 straight away defeats, and I don't think they've won in like 10 or something like that. They've won in the past. The actual form guide over the past since the turn of the year or something, Dunfermline are bottom of the league. So 2-0 to Dunfermline is my prediction. Actually, in fact, I'm sticking with it. 2-0 to Dunfermline. 2-0 to Dunfermline.
I was going to say
Plus a 6-0 Hearts.
No.
There's that part is dead now. That'll
That
never come back.
has never happened. Will never happen for this season, or
Not
probably
that
the next 5 or 6. So.
This team's not capable. It's just not. It's not going to happen.
Okay.
Aye, let's end it there. Again, just a big thanks to Killy for joining us this week. Again, appreciate these guys taking the time out to come and join us. Can't be an easy time for them either. You know, you think you're the people that text you abuse or that are angry about what's happening with Hearts and all the stuff that's going on. Imagine actually having any type of affiliation to the football club. Think of how roasting your phone would be with people wanting to find out what's happening. So genuinely, thanks to Kelly for joining us. It's much appreciated. It's good to have the voice of the fans sort of talking, and it was good to hear him say that he'd spoke to Stuart Wallace at Foundation of Hearts and all that sort of stuff as well. I hope that, as Gary Halliday had alluded to on Sports Sound last night, that there is some form of announcement in some way this week. I will reiterate what I put on Twitter, and I know that this will probably echoed by the guys on the podcast. I really hope that it isn't Stuart Wallace announcing that he will be stepping away from the Foundation of Hearts due to the personal abuse and all that sort of stuff. I absolutely hope that isn't the case, because like we said, he can take shots at them, and we have to all week long about the statement and about them no judging the room correctly and all that sort of stuff. But the personal stuff is just out of order for people that do something that none of us have got the balls to do. So I hope that if Stuart's listening or whatever, I hope that isn't a reason or isn't the announcement that comes out. So right, that's us. Cool. We'll probably be back Saturday for live reaction. We're now officially only 2 games away from winning the league. We could win the league on Saturday, depending on if results go our way. But it's Hearts, so we'll see you at full time. It's Dunfermline 2, Hearts 1, and we're all raging.
Yeah.
All right.
Right,
Cheers,
guys.
boys.
Cheers.
See you later.
Gorgero.